Welcome to my channel, where I engage my guests in Life Matters conversations, where they share their passions and creativity, explore with us, grow, tune in, connect, and learn from these trailblazers. This is where we share the real, raw, authentic stories of failures and successes. Enjoy the journey. So, welcome to episode 3 of Life Matters Conversations with Laura Cross. She's an inspiring Air Force veteran and the founder of White Sands Premier Travel and White Sands Self-Care. Her mission is to help individuals uncover the root causes of discomfort and dis-ease, empowering them to detoxify their bodies and homes while taking control of their holistic health. With a commitment to fostering judgment-free communities, Laura creates spaces where people can connect, collaborate, and access valuable resources for their wellness journeys. I'm going to have you let her tell you a little more of the many things she's done and is still doing, one of which is hosting Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross on E360 TV, where I had the honor of being interviewed by her. And since then, I've been collaborating with her on the health front. So welcome, Laura. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Robert. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so that was a short introduction, but God, you've got quite a resume. So I'm really curious. Give me a little breakdown of your journey and where you started and how you got to where you are now.
I'll give you the short version the best I can. 'Cause if you want to dig into everything I've done, that gets a whole lot
Right,
longer.
exactly.
No, so my entrepreneur journey basically started after I lost my husband, December 21st of 2004. He was 36. We were laughing at lunch. He was dead by 10 that night due to an aortic arch dissection slash heart attack. And so that's when I realized that life was too precious, that I didn't want to spend my time answering to other people. And so that's when I went into travel. I've always loved travel, and it's you create those precious memories. It's great for your immune system. There's all kinds of benefits to travel, but I love seeing other places, learning about other cultures. There's so much more out there than what's out your front door. And so I did that for a long time. And I still am a certified travel agent, still love travel. But when COVID came along, it really scared the snot out of people for traveling. And people were,
Right.
terrified to travel.
Yeah.
So that's when I morphed and created White Sands Self Care, because what I was realizing was the reason I wanted people to travel was to escape that rat race. We keep getting caught up, call it a hamster wheel, rat race, whatever you want. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, military, blue collar, white collar, we all get caught up in everything day to day. We stop doing what we love. We stop taking care of ourselves. And so that's why I really wanted people to travel, was to get that break and refresh. Um, but since they were afraid of that, I created White Sand Self Care, because the other thing I learned along the way, being a person that's always been kind of the caregiver, heartfelt type, taking care of everybody else but herself, I realized that it's essential to take care of yourself first, because people use the airline analogy. I think we all know about that. Put the oxygen mask on first, because you really cannot help other people unless you support yourself and feel yourself first. I always tell people, if you're a car guy, it's kind of like topping off your engine all the time with oil without ever changing the oil. Eventually, your
Right.
engine's going to seize up. Your body will do the same thing. So that's where I created White Sand Self Care. And I started learning from all kinds of people all around the world about all the different holistic things that we could do, the modalities that were out there, the stuff that we've always had available. It's been around for thousands of years, but no one ever talks about it.
exactly. And now we're calling it alternative medicine.
People can
Which
call it whatever you want. People get too hung up on labels. I really hate I really hate all the labels. Everybody has feels like something has to have a label or a title,
yeah,
even for me, they ask me, what is it that I do? What is my title? It's like I am the entrepreneur of me. You can you can put whatever label on me that you feel fits, but that's just
no, that's
not how I
that's
operate.
no, that's very good. No, I couldn't stand labels either. But how about labels they use on diseases, right, to diagnose? I don't even like those kinds of labels either.
I don't either, and that's something else I learned from somebody else. Because you go to the doctor, they say, like they told me I have functional scoliosis. Okay, you can subscribe to that. I don't because I know there's things that I can do to fix and correct it. I'm not going to sit
Exactly,
there and put that in
exactly.
my brain and in my mindset that, oh my God, I have this. I have to do this, this, and that. That causes more damage than, staying positive about things. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so true, so
and
true.
and some of the stuff that we're calling diseases or challenges, like ADD and ADHD, those people are geniuses. I mean, they're quite intelligent, and there's a lot of stuff that you can adjust, and fix to function better by the food that you're putting in your body and the stuff that you're doing. I mean, there's a lot out there that you can control. I don't know about you guys and your doctors over there, but I know our doctors in the US, no one asks you what do you eat or what does your normal day look like or your lifestyle.
Same
None of
here.
none of that comes up.
Yeah, same here. But I just kept going from one doctor to the next until I found somebody that suited, you know, my vision of healthcare and preventive healthcare. I always say you don't pay your doctor to get you healthy again. You pay them to keep you healthy.
Yeah, well, and it's like our insurance. They don't pay for you to be proactive in
Right,
your health. They pay for, oh, let's fix this now that you've realized this or after tragedy strike. I think that's a mindset we need to change. Stop waiting for tragedy or trauma to strike. I
right.
mean, some you can't control, some of it's out of the blue. Obviously, you don't have control over it. But, the other thing that always kills me is when, people's like, oh, well, this runs in my family. My dad had it. My this, yeah. It doesn't matter. You're not subject to your genes. Are you predisposed for it? Yes. Can you change it and correct it? Absolutely.
Yes,
You just have to want to make those lifestyle and food changes.
right, right. But it's also a mindset.
And it's mindset.
Some people get angry at me when I say every single disease can be cured. They get angry, and I understand when one of their loved ones died of cancer or whatnot, but it's the presupposition that I have. If I want to heal, it's got to come from a place that I'm convinced that everything is to be healed. I'm not saying it will be by the grace of God, but still, we have to do the work. We have to take responsibility for our health, right?
Yeah. I always tell people mindset is over 90% of the battle.
Yeah,
Really. And
yeah,
I have met so many people that have actually cured themselves of cancer and gotten rid of it without medical intervention.
yeah,
So I know it's possible.
yeah,
So your
exactly.
mindset, what your belief is, um, that's plays a lot in
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's become one of the main things in your life, focusing on health.
That is the main thing.
Because
I got my fiance down to one medication. He's a type 2 diabetic. We've got his, blood sugars and stuff in range. And, and really it affects your mood, it affects your outlook, it affects so many things. So it's really fun to be able to see people making healthier choices and enjoying and living life more and not so, just
right,
eh.
that's what I've been seeing happening large scale. So many people are waking up and taking responsibility and re-evaluating, the way they want to live their lives, and that includes changing their lifestyle and negative, you know, habits.
Mhm. And you can go down a lot of rabbit holes for everything that we find that says, oh, this is absolutely good for you. I'll guarantee you there's going to be someone out there that's going to say, oh my God, no, that's horrible. I have it today even with some of the companies I have. I love the ingredients and stuff and the way it makes me feel and do. And there's other people I was like, oh, I don't want that in my body. I don't want that. I'm like, okay, some people, I'm not sure how you're even breathing air because technically we have a lot of toxins and stuff in our air. You're not going to be able to avoid it all, but that doesn't mean you have to just say, forget about it and just eat whatever you want. I mean, that is your choice. I don't get into the weeds with anybody. I tell people, I said, it's their own, it's your body, it's your choice, which is why I like building holistic, judgment free, communities, because we all have different perspectives. It's not my place to tell you what I think you should do. Now, if you ask, if you want some advice or opinion, sure, I'll share it. Doesn't mean you have to do it because ultimately it is your choice because it's your body. And it's not for anybody to judge to say, well, you shouldn't do that. It's
Right,
not theirs to judge.
right. Amazing. So, well, I'm a breath worker,
Yep.
and I can honestly say, uh, even risking burning my hand, putting my hand in the fire when I say most people just don't breathe properly. But if you really understand that 70% of all your toxins are released through your breath, then you would even take breathing as a wonderful means and tool to keep your body on the right frequency.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know?
And I've seen that firsthand. So that's the one thing I did learn is that about probably about 95% of the people walking around have hypoxia because
Yeah,
they're not
yeah,
doing the deep belly breathing. When you go to
yeah,
the doctors and they tell you to take a deep breath, you see, and they're like trying to blow up their chest. Well, this is all bones. That's all of that cannot expand. But if you just breathe in through your nose and blow out your stomach and then out through your mouth, you'll actually feel it. No, some people, when you do it, they're like, oh my God, I'm lightheaded. Well, yeah,
yeah,
that's because
yeah.
your brain is like, oh my God, I have oxygen. It went,
And can't handle it yet.
it's not a bad thing if you've never done it. At least try to do it sitting down and don't do it standing up so you don't feel lightheaded and fall.
Yeah,
But so when you do those like 5 to 10 times every hour, and when you get in the habit of doing it, then it becomes more the natural the way you do things. And I know it makes a difference because my fiance would snore a lot normally, but when he does the deep belly breaths, he listens to his audio files or whatever, he does not snore. He's not sucking air. I'm not hearing him suck up half the room or whatever. I can tell when he hasn't been doing them because all of a sudden I'll hear snoring. I'm like, okay, you need to do you need to
yeah,
do more deep
yeah.
belly breaths. It's either that or I'm going to do the whole yank the pillow and wake him up enough to stop so I can go back to sleep.
The
So,
the the first what is it? The first idea you had was definitely a little better.
oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That was something new that I learned. So even my late husband used to snore. It'd be like, I'm like, just yank the pillow, and I would just like do it and then pretend like I'm asleep, and they just, they just fall right back to sleep anyway. But I
And
just
go
wanted to
on
stop
snoring.
snoring so I can sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just heard caught you saying listening to his audio files, which reminds me of the AO scan, which is how I got involved in what you also offer. Can you tell me a little for
Yeah,
the
the AO
audience about
voice
that?
scan. Yeah, the AO voice scan. It's by Solex. It's an incredible technology. It uses the Rife frequencies, Nikola Tesla, kind of Einstein, all the technologies and stuff together. The AO stands for Alpha Omega, so for before and after. And every time when we are speaking, first of all, every one should realize that everything in this world is vibration, frequency, and energy. You can't stop it. Everything has it. Colors, your colors have a certain vibration and frequency. Your chair, your desk, I don't care if it's not moving. There is a vibration and a frequency and energy to that, to whatever it is. So
Exactly.
what it does is when we talk, you have thousands of vibrations and frequencies that come out when you talk. And it'll actually capture 10 seconds of your voice. It finds your three highest, your one lowest, and then it tries to optimize you. It'll send frequencies and vibrations to you to balance you out. And it actually creates audio files, which are 3 minutes long. And I tell people, even if they sound the same, the frequencies are different. So you still want to listen to them. And if the noise does bother you, guess what? You can turn the sound all the way down and run the files. It still works. You don't have to hear to have vibrations and frequencies work on you.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, it'll light people up. It'll tell me what foods are causing inflammation, which ones are causing diminishing functions, what's stuck in your gut, what frequencies of this. So basically, what your body is saying, I have had enough. Because a lot of times I come across so many people that, well, I went to the doctors, they said everything, all my tests are good, nothing's wrong, but they feel it. They know something is off and not right. And yet nobody's feeling anything. I always tell people your body is the best MRI tool you could ever have. You just have to learn, you just have to know how to listen to it. And this
Right.
tool, this
And
tool,
with the
it will
help,
help you discover the root cause.
exactly.
This is your voice, this is your body, and it is actually 98% more accurate than blood work.
Right.
So it feeds off of your emotions. It feeds off of, so like, when my friend did one because she wanted to use me because she just got it for herself to use. And so she wanted to test it out on me. I just found out that my pup has, grade 2 cancer. My best friend's sister just died. I already knew what it was going to show. And she says that, and I, doesn't matter how much I try to put on a good face and do this. Nope. Heart chakra, double red, grief. It all lights up. It knew exactly what was bothering my body at that time.
Yeah. Amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm well aware of bioresonance apps and I've been following that for more than 30 years actually. So when I saw one of your posts of the AO scan, I was immediately, yeah, I want to try this. And it was also spot on. And some of the physical stuff, all these little things that were bothering me, it immediately showed up and was a wonderful assessment tool to just verify that I needed to do something about it instead of waiting, and in fact, most of the time we never even listen, but as soon as your body is signaling, be it pain or
Mhm.
numbness anywhere, or a cramp in your gut, it's a signal that you need to pay attention. So
Yeah.
this
And how
AO
many times
scan,
do we mark it off to say, oh, just because I'm getting older, this is the way it is now? And it's like, well, no, think about what you just ate or what you just did or what
right,
you go through because your body is reacting to it.
right, right,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so amazing. So I would, advise anybody to try this out, connect with Laura and try this out. If you're having some health challenges, it can give you a really good appraisal of where you are health-wise and what you can do to optimize your health.
Yeah, it's not to
Definitely.
diagnose people. You can come to your own conclusions. It is simply to discover the root cause
Right,
of what is creating the issues. And as
right.
a matter of fact, for another person the other day, I even did the whole complete body scan, and literally kicks out hundreds of pages of information, so you can really go down rabbit holes and get lost. But it will tell you under each section of stuff what is chronic, what's acute, and it breaks things down even
And
farther.
yeah, and
You haven't even seen that report yet. I did it for the first time the other day. So
okay,
yeah, yeah. There's so many things that tool can do.
yeah.
It's incredible.
I want to invest in that at some point because there's another section where you pick four of your favorite colors.
Hmm.
The app will actually tell you if you're spot on with these colors or that you might need a different kind of color to bring you into balance. But all these colors connected to the emotional stuff that is going on underneath, which is great for me for the work that I'm doing because that's what I'm helping people uncover and to release some of the blockages and the emotional signatures of negative experiences in the past. And with all the people that I've sent to you to do the scan, it was spot on. All the emotional stuff that I've been working them through just highlighted it again. It's just perfect. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And to
I
their
was going to say, I'm
surprise,
glad you mentioned it, past, because that's the thing, especially when it's emotions. If you feel like there is a situation, maybe it was you had a traumatic childhood or something traumatic happened to you and you feel like you've dealt with it. If you haven't, it will still show because it's in your unconscious and it's still in your vibration and frequency. So it can pick up things from when you were a child to now. It
right,
can cover a range of things. So
right,
yeah, it is a snapshot in time, but when there's those things like that are deeply rooted and set in you, it will pick it up.
right. Wonderful. Laura, you mentioned that you were in the military.
Mhm.
What were you doing in the military? And
I was wiring F-15s and F-16s. I was an
oh,
aircraft electrician.
that's fascinating, amazing.
I wired aircraft.
All right, amazing.
Yep.
So why didn't you? Wow, that's amazing.
Why didn't I say? Oh, they sent me to Iceland first, so that was my first duty station. So I was in Iceland for a year, and that's where I worked on F-15s in the back shop. And then I went from Iceland to Arizona, so I went to F-16 flight line.
But
So,
what did you study to be able to sit there doing the wiring of a
so they put
multi-million dollar
so tr
machine?
truth be told, when I was in college, I was doing my degree towards writing computer programs because I like to write computer programs. I was highly encouraged to check out the military or check out Air Force. My father was Air Force, and so, they were afraid I was going to follow the path of my friends of, waiting tables or busting tires for a living. So, yeah, anyway, I was encouraged to go in, and so I did. I took the ASVAB test, which is the test that you take. Don't ask me what that all stands for because I don't remember what that acronym stands for anymore. But it's an assessment test, and really I scored 94 for applications, which is like secretarial business type stuff. My mechanics was 74 and stuff, but they decided that I was going to be an aircraft electrician. So since I was on the delayed enlistment program, I did pick up a semester of electronics while I was waiting to go in. Other than that, they send you through the field training detachment schools and to learn what you need to about the systems, and off I went.
And here I am flying, and all of a sudden there's a funny glitch.
No, I didn't have those problems.
Laura,
No.
it's Laura.
And
Yeah,
no. There's
oh,
pilot error, and if pilots have an error, they have a tendency to want to blame
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
mechanics.
yeah.
But I'm like, yeah,
Of
no.
course. Well, a large part is also a pilot error. In fact, I mean, flying an F-16, major stuff going on in that cockpit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
actually got my late husband a taxi ride in an F-16 when we were at Luke Air Force Base because that's where I met my husband was at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona.
was he a
And
pilot?
no, he
No.
always wanted to be. He wanted to fly A-10s, but he was ground radio. And so it had like a spouse's day. And so since I worked on a flight line, I was able to get him a taxi ride. So he got to, go in one of the two-seaters and do the taxi ride down
Oh,
the runway.
wow. Once I
So
had the opportunity with a French uh, pilot in the French Air Force because I knew his sister, but I never got the chance. I really would have wanted to. Yeah. And get the
yeah.
chance to throw up in one of those bags.
Yeah, no, I never did that. I worked on helicopters also. We had helicopters also in Iceland. And so because I was there, I actually got to ride up in the helicopter and everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna be
Yeah,
sick or
that's
whatever."
cool.
You can like shoot the gun out, over the ocean or whatever, and which I was afraid of hitting fish, but I did it anyway. It was still fun, and no, I did not get sick. It was a helicopter because helicopters can move much differently than,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
regular aircraft. But yeah, it was an
So
experience.
was it difficult to transition out of the military
Not
into
really,
your civilian
because
life?
no, because I had a lot of different jobs in civilian before I went in. I went in when I was 20. Got married when I was 22, and then Desert Storm almost canceled our wedding. But after Desert Storm calmed down, my career field was over 100% manned, and I was offered an early out. Um, so I have honorable discharge, and I left.
Oh, okay.
I separated from the
Yeah.
military early, and the main reason being it is not the military's goal. It's not their mission to keep families together. They always say, if they wanted you to have a family or a spouse, they'd issue you one. It's because it's not their mission, it's not their priority. Air Force is one of the better services to try and keep families together, but there is no guarantee.
Okay.
So, since my husband was ground radio and did not work on flight lines, I had to be on a flight line. I had to be where fighters were. There was a good chance that when the time came, we would have been
Right.
separated at different duty stations.
Uh,
And so I wasn't doing that.
uh,
But yeah. So, and it was also a time where there was a lot of you had a lot of people that didn't think women should be in the military. So there was still that time where some accepted it, some did not. And personally, I got a little tired of the head games and they offered me early out. So I said, see ya.
uh. So
But
one of the first things you mentioned that your husband died at age 36.
yeah.
how long were you married? And
14 years and 3 months. I
I
met him
mean,
on I met him on New Year's Eve. We got married. I met him on New Year's Eve of '89. Right when I had got to Luke Air Force Base, we got married September 21st of '90.
mm,
So 14 years and 3 months.
but that must have been such a pivotal moment in your life because how what did you go
That
through?
was that was a slap of reality, and that's why I always tell people he was a year and a half away from retiring, and we were still in that rat race making ends meet. So I worked a night job because when we got to Colorado, they flat out told us we got paid 36% under what it took to live there. So either way, I knew I had to have a job, and I picked up a night job because it pays more because of the night differential. And
Right,
so we're still kind of like two ships passing in the night. I mean, we were finally at where he only went, I will say TDY, but it means temporary duty assignment, where he only went TDY once out of the year for 3 to 4 months. Like when we were in Germany, he'd be gone 3 to 4 months. They'd try to keep him back for a month, and then he'd be out for another 3 to 4 months. That's another kind of, I guess, um, perk or whatever that we have from being Air Force. We're not like the Army and the Marines. We don't get sent out for a year and a half at a time unless it's a remote assignment. So when it's temporary, they're normally 3 to 6 months, 3, 4, 6 months at the most. But so anyway, we were finally there, and he would have, like I said, retired a year and a half. But we always kind of put off doing things. As a matter of fact, because of the military life and making ends meet all the time, we never even had a honeymoon from getting married. We kind of took a honeymoon vacation about 13 years into the marriage, and that was really just a weekend up in Estes Park. It wasn't like the whole week like most people would do and go take time out and celebrate.
right.
Um, we were busy living paycheck to paycheck and making
Were
ends
you
meet.
still you had already gotten out of the
I was separated. Yeah.
service?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Like I said, we were married for 14 years and 3 months. I was in the Air Force for 3 years and 4 months, because they offered me an early out. So I was out by the time I was 25. No, I went in when I was 20. So I was out by the time I was like 23, 24, in that range.
So what happened? I mean, there you are. Your husband's gone.
Yeah, so he basically he came home. He was well, he was he said he was sitting in the chair just watching his cartoons and felt his heart start to race. So he went to the flight surgeon, because active duty has to go to the flight surgeon. And I know he told him his family history. His dad died at the age of 40. He had uncles that died in their 40s, grandfathers that died in their 40s,
Oh, wow.
all aortic
Yeah.
arch dissection slash heart attacks. She did an EKG and a blood pressure check on him. That's all she did. And then he had another episode. So she hooked him up he came home with all these paddles. So now he had to tell me that he was having issues because he didn't tell me until he had to come home with all these paddles stuck on him.
No.
And so he was supposed to do everything he could. And when he felt it happen again, hit this button. And it didn't happen again. So she told me it was just post-traumatic stress from being shot at in Iraq. Totally ignored his family history. They did not do the right tests. And a year later, we were having lunch with my parents. We came back. I laid down for a nap because I was still working nights. The phone rings. Um, he called my cell phone and called me back to the office. And I went back there and he just had tears running down his eyes, gave me the phone. My 911 operator said my husband called complaining of chest pains. So before I could even get back, they took him down to the hospital, and this guy that's one of the top surgeons said that it was his aortic valve. They needed to operate on him sooner rather than later, like now. And they went in. Basically, I was told that they were able to graft his aortic valve, but the veins in his arteries were so deteriorated all the way to his brain and down to his legs that they
Wow.
weren't very optimistic. There wasn't a lot of things that they could do, but they were going to try. But when they tried to suture they tried the ones going to his brain first. And when they were trying to do the sutures, his tissue was literally like tissue paper and it wouldn't hold anything. So they lost him on the
So
table.
there was nothing. Were you still able to see him before he went into the
Oh, my mom and I were
operating?
with him before he went into the operation. Yeah, so I was with him kind of like over his head. My mom felt, she was looking at that he was looking at her, telling her to take care of me. And my mom standing there telling him, hey, we'll see you when you come out. And he never came out.
Did you
So
have any angst, fear that he might not make it? Or what was your?
not until they came up and gave me the report and then went back down to try a couple more things. And then they came
Okay.
up and said, I'm sorry. And that was it.
Wow.
And yeah, so then came the asthma attack and everything else.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and I went and talked to a lawyer about it. It wasn't about money. It was about the fact that the flight surgeon didn't know her head from her rear. He should have been. I didn't know any better to question the doctors at that time. You know, I grew up in an environment where you go to the doctors, they know what they're doing, you follow whatever medications, whatever stuff I was in that circle and I was in that loop. And
Right.
I am sorry that I ever got in that loop, but I did. So I didn't question things,
That's
you
how we're
know.
all raised. We're raised
Yeah,
in that framework. You know, the white coat, he knows it
yeah,
all. I'm the doctor. I know, and that's when I put a huge question mark
yeah.
on
So I was
everybody.
told, yeah, I was told it was Ferry's Law. There's nothing I could do about it. It was military issued. Was nothing I could do
Oh,
about it. Air Force retired her. She was a full bird colonel. Air Force just retired her 3 months early. That was
right.
about the end of that. But I did learn what to do, what tests should have been done, had his brothers checked, and his 33-year-old brother was walking around with an aortic aneurysm. They were able to graft his heart and at the Mayo Clinic and get everything done, and they said that there was no reason he wouldn't live many years and never have to worry about his heart again, which just proved to me that it was preventable
Right, right.
had they done
It's
the right tests, the right things. If you look back, I look back in his medical records and years before that, you know, the cholesterol levels and stuff shows he was at risk for for a heart attack or heart problems. Where were you then?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know? So anyway, you live and learn. So if I can help keep
right,
anyone from
right.
being totally dependent on that, I mean, if that's their choice, that's their choice. But you should educate yourself and find out more, you
Exactly.
know,
I
because
have
certain
so
doctors
many
are
clients.
specialized in certain
Yeah,
areas. They
yeah,
don't know the whole thing. They don't look at the whole picture. And it's your body, it's your life.
yeah. I have lots of clients who sort of get, like their death sentence. And it's like, look, you have the choice to believe it or not. There's one woman on a networking event, and she was diagnosed terminal cancer, and she completely pivoted and took control of her own life and got herself, into optimum health and, living happily ever after. And so I only asked, we could ask any questions. So I raised my digital hand and then I asked her the question, what what did you do with the doctor who gave you that death sentence? She says, I just told him to fuck off.
Yeah.
And now she's helping other people, also maintain optimum health, and specifically also in regards to heart conditions,
Yeah.
you know. So
There's a lot that can be done.
absolutely,
That was
absolutely.
absolutely devastating for me and just changed everything. I had great support from my family because my family was all there, close, trying to help hold me together. But one of the things that definitely helped me is I've always been a dog mom, so a fur baby. I have fur babies,
All
and
right.
we had two dogs. So yeah, I had just turned 37 on December 5th, and I had to put my Samoy to sleep December 7th. My husband died 2 weeks later, and it was the following year that I lost my
Oh,
Keith Hound. But for me, those were my kids, and I excel at spoiling my kids, and I knew no one else would. So I knew, regardless of whatever little dark thing came through my head or not, I needed to be there for my fur babies,
right.
and uh, and take care of them. So they were probably my biggest help besides my family. My family was a huge help too. It's just that sometimes the people get frustrated and because they're trying to help and they're trying to help you through things and be there with you, but they don't realize that when they're on a phone saying, oh yeah, love you too, see you later, and you don't have that anymore. It's almost more of a constant reminder. I mean, it takes time to adjust. There is no right or wrong way. Some people throw themselves back into work and go back into work. I took the 7 days bereavement. It was not enough for me. I wound up going out on short-term disability because I was just trying to put pieces together. And since I
You
was
have
already
to.
working a night shift, which is not natural, it throws off your whole circadian rhythm. And then have this happen,
Yeah.
it put me in a whole lot of turmoil.
You have to take the time. Absolutely.
And once again, at that time, they had put me on antidepressants. They put me on Ambien, I think it was to help me sleep, Lexapro for depression that they wanted me to stay on for a year.
Wow.
So I did do that, and I will say it probably helped me look at things differently. But the other medications that I had been on for back problems and the spinal injections that I used to get and all that stuff had wore out. And then I started realizing the side effects from all of that. So once that was done, I will not touch any of it anymore.
Mm,
I have found natural and holistic ways to take care of pretty much
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
So I don't even take aspirin or the Motrin anymore. I'd rather do
yeah,
deep breaths, peppermint oils, essential oils. I'll do whatever I need to without taking that stuff.
yeah, yeah. Good for you. That's so important. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the antidepressants as well. Because what you're doing is just killing the symptoms, the deeper layers of emotion that is there. But under the right guidance, you can get through it as well without the medication. But you do, we need support.
And it is
We
possible.
all
That's
need
why it
support.
took me so many years, other than the deep connection and stuff that I had. But that's probably why it took me so long, because I probably fought a lot of things. They did pay for me to go talk to a psychiatrist, and which was great because I could talk to somebody that didn't even know me, but I only did 5 out of 6 visits because they kept wanting me to write a letter to my husband telling him goodbye, and I was not about to do that. So I stopped
Right.
going.
Yeah.
I just looked at it as he went TDY and he's not coming back this time.
Hmm.
But yeah.
So, one more thing I want to ask you before we close. How did you get into hosting your TV show? That's quite a
Well,
variety of things.
well, I know, but to me, it all goes together. I mean, because of the experiences and what I went through with losing my husband and the more things that I have discovered, um, support is huge. Having that community for anything that you're going through and support is huge. So when I started learning about all the holistic and the modalities, I created White Sands Self Care Community Group on Facebook, which I invite anybody to join. It is all everything I do is about providing educations, resources, connections, and collaboration. Because I truly believe we can do more together than we can by ourselves, and that community and support is huge. So I always encourage people to get on there, share what you do, who you help, who you are, and connect with people. You don't say because you don't have to go it alone. And I started by doing interviews similar to what you're doing with a podcast now. I was doing just little short interviews. Some of them did go rather long, but most of them are supposed to be short because I thought when people could share their journey, how they got over it, how they help others,
Right.
that people could resonate and connect with them better, right? Instead of seeing, here's a profile picture, here's what I do, connect with me. Okay, I don't know you. That's great, sounds great, but you don't know the person. And sometimes a lot gets lost trying to type stuff back and forth. So everybody kept calling it a podcast. I said, it's not a podcast, it's just an interview. And I did create a YouTube channel. I do have a White Sands Self Care YouTube channel, so you'll see the previous ones on there. Um, it may not have a lot of subscribers, but I have one gentleman, he's over 598 views. So
Wow.
when
Amazing.
things get shared, it doesn't really matter how many subscribers you have. When it's out there, it gets out there.
Right.
And so people kept calling it a podcast. I said no. And then I came across a lady that asked me if I ever thought about doing a TV show. And I'm like, well, okay, what does that entail? And so it was a little overwhelming, a little scary, uncomfortable, but I thought, okay, it's not much different of what I'm doing. I just had to learn different platforms and stuff, but I could take what I'm doing on a bigger scale. And so I created Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. And so again, that is a judgment free, holistic community that provides education, resources, connection, and collaborations.
Great
Um,
interviews. I'd advise everybody to take a look and check it out. But I'm going
yeah.
to put all the information, you know, at the
And
end of
if you
the
watch the very
interview.
first ones, you'll see how rough I was in the beginning. I'm not saying I'm polished now, but I'm better. They can grow along with me because you grow as you go.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
covers all realms. It's not just what people call the woo-woo space, which I don't know why everybody wants that label, but they do. Because I always tell people that mindfulness and self-care is in everything you do. If you have things that are stressing you out in your business, your job, I don't care how much you're trying to put on this face, it shows in your tone, your body language, everything. It comes out in your personal. Everything is connected. So
absolutely.
I have people
Absolutely.
on for all different subjects. Just I take them as they come. So however they come in is how they go up.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yep.
Amazing. Is there anything you would like to still share to the audience? Something that might inspire them?
My biggest thing is if you're in a business or a job, one of the things I would recommend to people to do is take time by yourself, get rid of all the outside noise, the naysayers, whatever else. Go inside yourself and figure out what lights you up. Because if you're not doing what lights you up, then you are simply just making ends meet, and that is a miserable way to go through life. It helps to cause your stress, the illnesses, and everything else because you're not doing what you're truly meant to do. You're not doing what really lights you up.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Sometimes I get called by somebody and they're like, God, I'd like your advice. I don't usually give advice, but what can I do for you? Well, I'm really unhappy with my job. I don't even let them finish. I'm just like, well, quit. I knew you were going to say that. I said, well, are you going to take me up on the advice you wanted? I mean, don't wait. Don't
No,
wait.
some people just need that external
Yeah,
validation or that
yeah,
external push. But then again, sometimes if it doesn't go right, they're also quickly to blame you. And it's like, no, you asked, I gave you my opinion. Ultimately, the choice is yours.
right.
You,
But you
you
know
are
what
the one making
happened?
the choice. Mhm.
Right. You know what often happens is they're unhappy, they want to leave, but they don't dare to because they're still, nonetheless, they still are comfortable where they are. And so they create a situation where they are fired, and then they blame, their boss or their, the business that hired them, blame them
Mhm.
for being fired. And when I get to the bottom of things, it's like, look, listen, you just didn't have the courage to leave yourself, and it would have been a lot more empowering if you would have just stepped and said, "That's it, I'm leaving." Because now you're pretending you're the victim. You're not. You
Yep.
didn't even want to be there anymore.
Number one principle from Jack Canfield's Success Principles is take 100% ownership of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever situation it was, you played a role in it because
right,
you either invited that in or you chose to have that in,
right,
but
right.
ultimately it comes down to you. It's easy to blame other people, and sometimes it's scarier and harder to look at the fact that yeah, nope, I created that. But if you
Right.
created it, you can also correct it and you can also fix it because you have
Exactly.
control over you, not over anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. I could never stay any longer any place. So I was just going from job to job to job. And then I was fired. And, at some point, my dad's like, nobody even wants you anymore. You can't even stick to one job more than 3 months, right? But I just couldn't stay. It was really funny. But that led to the principle of burning your bridges.
Yes.
Because I burned my bridges behind me, and then there's only one way to go, and that's forward.
I, I,
With
I,
with
us- I
all the
did
fear I had, but I didn't have any other choice than just to keep going forward.
I jumped through a few too, but I always did the give them the 2 weeks notice, and you suck it up and then you move on. I didn't just say, gone.
Right,
So because I was taught not to burn bridges, and a lot of people look at that, but the thing is, I think that was really just saying that this isn't for me. Yes, you
right.
could do it. I mean, there's a lot of jobs I've done a lot of jobs. There's a lot of jobs I could still do. I could do them 100% or more. Would I be happy doing them?
No,
No. And
right,
to me, life is way too precious. I stopped saying short because it's not always short. It's what you make of it, but it's too precious to be wasting time with things that do not make you happy and do not light you up. There
right,
are lots of things out there people can do. You just have to get rid of a lot of the old school
right,
thinking.
right. Exactly.
Be be brave and, you know, go on out there and do it. There's a lot of people that'll be there and support you, and if they're not, maybe you should change your circle of friends. Create them boundaries. It's like, okay, move them out.
Yeah. So we'll end with that note, right?
Yep.
Just pick up, make your choice, and go out there and do it. Go out there and do it.
You'll be a lot happier.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura.
You bet. Thanks for having
We're
me.
going to stay connected and keep doing what we're doing and continue inspiring others.
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.